Welcome to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, your weekly dose of news and advice that comes to your pocket every single Saturday. Holding it down, here we got Mac, Mark, Scott, and Landon. Enjoy today's show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast. Now today, we're talking my favorite rookie in this year's draft, J.K. Dobbins, running back out of Ohio State. Now this dude is a beast, man. 2,000-yard season, joins the likes of Carlos Hyde and Zeke Elliott as Ohio State Buckeyes coming into this league. They're about to really ascend to the takeover. Now, J.K. Dobbins is an interesting spot because people are saying, look, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the Kansas City Chiefs is clearly the best back to have. And then you've got Landon saying that Jonathan Taylor is in the best spot to supplant Marlon Mack. Well, I'm going to make the argument at the latter end of this episode that J.K. Dobbins is actually the guy to have. Lando, with that being said, what do you think about that?
Man, I love J.K. Dobbins. As a dynasty owner of Mark Ingram, I want J.K. Dobbins on my team. I can't pull myself to take him over Jonathan Taylor, but it's a close one. You, Mac, actually were the one that has liked J.K. since the very beginning. He was one of your favorite running backs coming out, and I really think he landed in the best spot in Baltimore as well. Next year, it will be his backfield to have. He will be the lead back. He has shown in college that he can be the lead back. He had 3 consecutive years running for over 1,000 rushing yards. He's a competent pass catcher. He can do it all. Poor Justice Hill, they don't need him anymore. This guy is, I'm not going to say he's Zeke Elliott. That's not fair to say. Zeke's been a great fantasy asset for years, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. This guy is elite. He's been elite since high school. The guy can jump out of a room. He could jump out of a 5-foot pool, I bet you. This guy, he's so athletic. Now, he didn't test at the combine. So his numbers have to go from high school. The last time they did a Spark score. But either way, I don't care. He's a great athlete. He had very few fumbles in college. I think he's a no-brainer in all dynasty drafts. He should be the 103. The redraft leagues are, I guess, to be questioned. Mark, what do you think about J.K. Dobbins? Have I convinced you in my love for him as well?
Well, to an extent, but I am a little bit concerned about the amount of running backs that are on that team right now. We've got Mark Ingram, who's going to be the starter. We've got Justice Hill, who was kind of supposed to be the number 2 before this draft pick. We had Gus Edwards, who, as far as he is falling on that depth chart, I don't think has averaged less than 5 yards per carry in his first 2 seasons. And now we've got J.K. Dobbins, who, as you're describing, is a fantastic talent on a young team, a young run-heavy team. So here's my problem. There are just too many I feel like there's too many backs with experience that are naturally going to get the ball first. But you're right to be eyeing him as a handcuff if you do have Mark Ingram on your team, because you know that eventually the reins are going to get passed down. I think something that J.K. Dobbins is going to have to prove and establish early on is a good rapport with Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson ultimately does so much of the play calling on that team, right? You can't really coach every step that man is going to take on the field. So provided he gets that opportunity to play well with the dynamic, most versatile quarterback in the game, I think there is a good chance that J.K. Dobbins catches the field early and gets on there a lot, because those Ravens, they get the ball a lot and they control it. They wear down teams with their running game, and, well, it doesn't hurt to add this guy into their stable.
Yeah, I kind of like both sides of the story, and it's hard to decide, because on one side, you could not ask almost for a better landing spot to kind of mature as a football player than joining a team like the Baltimore Ravens and that just juggernaut offense as Mark Ingram hits his 30-year mark, which we all know for running backs means your days are numbered. But Mark makes a good point. Like, there is a lot of running backs in this stable. And the problem is, around this time last year, I remember Landon ready to, sell all his belongings if it meant he could get his hands on Justice Hill. Now, if you fast forward 365 days from now, are we going to be saying the same thing? Dobbins clearly has an amazing amount of talent, and it would seem kind of insane for Baltimore to say take another running back next year. But we are in that case where I don't think he's at all a viable option in redraft, pending some horrific injury to Ingram, though I did mention his age. But in Dynasty, there is absolutely intrigue. He's definitely worth a pick. But you do have to at least factor in that they have a stable of running backs, and it doesn't always shake out the way we kind of see it going in our head when we see these insane highlight reels and we say he's got to be the future, right? Mark Ingram, one more year, then he's lead back. But we have to also remember, with Justice Hill, we saw a lot of cool things out of him too, and we thought that maybe around now we'd be having this same discussion. So I love the talent. In Dynasty, if he's there, I think you got to take him, because if he does become the heir apparent behind Lamar Jackson, that's just trouble. So I love it, but I do think you have to be cognizant that it's not a sure thing when there's this many young running backs in the conversation. But talent-wise, man, it's hard to beat him.
So a couple things. He did sign a 4-year, $5.7 million rookie contract with the Ravens, which included a $1.7 million signing bonus. Also, Mark Ingram he still has 2 years left on his contract. He's paid out through 2021. So Mark Ingram will be part of the conversation moving forward. Like, he's not going away. Like, Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, they're stepping into the shadows. Mark Ingram's still a thing. But Mark Ingram really succeeded in his time in New Orleans when he had that complement of Alvin Kamara. And I'm not saying that J.K. Dobbins is anywhere near to the same type of player Alvin Kamara is, but he is a complement. And I think that Mark Ingram really thrives on a complementary player in his backfield. Another thing, Mark already brought it up, the Ravens want to run the ball. And at Ohio State, Justin Fields was a very mobile quarterback, just like Lamar Jackson is. So he's very used to having that mobile quarterback in his arsenal and running the read option. So I feel like him stepping into this scenario is really good long term. He might not be the guy right out of the gate this year, and I think kind of what Landon said, redraft probably isn't the greatest place to take J.K. Dobbins. But if you're in a keeper league, whether it's auction or redraft, get him in the 13th round and, keep him for next to nothing next year. Spend $2 or $3 on him and hold him. I think he's really going to be a really good long-term play. Now, I do think in the long run, though, you piggyback him on Lamar Jackson and a run-heavy offense. Mark Ingram will be gone after 2021, and this dude will explode. He's used to the workload. He's used to a mobile quarterback, and he wants to run the football. Not the greatest pass catcher, but that certainly can be improved. So I think J.K. Dobbins, fantastic player, has all the skill set in the world, and he is a beast athletically, super shifty. I think he fits really, really well with the Ravens. I'm actually super pleased he landed there. Would you guys have wanted to see JK on a different team, or do you think the Ravens were the right fit?
So for me, I am really surprised that they took a running back to begin with, and I'm surprised that they didn't end up with, a bigger wide receiver to complement Marquise
Hollywood
Brown on the outside there. To add another running back into this fold must mean that they fully believe in their formula and, that they want to come out this season and beat the single season team rushing yard record that they set for themselves last year.
Scotty, Lando, would you have wanted to pick a different spot for him?
For me, the only better spot would have been Indianapolis. obviously Jonathan Taylor landed there, but that would be the only spot with a better O-line that would have been a fit for him. Scotty, would you have wanted him in Tampa instead, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, I was actually going to bring up the Colts as well, but as we discussed in that video, it has the Marlon Mack issue. So it is not a clear-cut path for him to get a ton of carries and really get to excel. So I do like this landing spot because, as you said, Mark Ingram, he does great in a tandem. He really does. That's when he gets his highest yards per carry. And if he had gone to Indy, which I think was, as you mentioned, the other O-line, there's no guarantee that Marlon Mack would want to be in a tandem. Mark Ingram's going to mentor this kid and really kind of want him to succeed, because when he succeeds, so does Ingram. So I think it's a great landing spot, and a year of mentorship, or two even, under Ingram could make him a much more complete football player, because we all know Mark Ingram is not just a character. He is an unreal professional and athlete.
Oh, yeah. I think, too, with the Ravens, they went out in the first round. They got their guy in Patrick Queen, who kind of fell a little bit, and they beefed up the defense. They're committed to the defense. They got the linebacker they wanted, who is a beast. And then I think because maybe Dobbins didn't really perform at the combine, he did the bench press, but that was really it. I feel like that somehow made him slide a little bit. And the 55th overall pick, I feel like, is an absolute steal for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think in the 103, Hilaire and Taylor are going to go ahead of Dobbins. It's really going to be at the 103, a choice between CeeDee Lamb and J.K. Dobbins. And I truly hope that Dobbins falls, but I really think he's worth the 103 in Dynasty. So let us know what you think in the comments below. If you were in a rookie draft, where would you take Dobbins? Is he 3? Is he 4? Is he outside of that? Are we just a little bit crazy? Let us know in the comments below, or you can get us on our social medias at @snap_fantasy. That's on Instagram or Twitter. Supporting this podcast is super easy. All you have to do is give us a like, leave a comment, and check us out next week. See you later.